those micro violences that against ourselves and everything.
Like that spider.
And the more sensitive you become, the more aware you become of when you step out of alignment with your heart and love. And so that's what my personal journey is to really get clear and notice when I'm taking myself out of that space, because I feel like my best is going to arise from that space.
Right. So personal nonviolence.
So that's my I really believe in really noticing what that is.
Okay. Good.
Being clear that it's not just physical violence; it's actually even thoughts. You know.
We're not going to be that picky.
I know, but I'm just.
We don't want to be too small of a drive.
I'm putting it out there.
That's cool. That's cool.
Because things tend to. You've seen that domino video.
Yeah.
With a little domino.
And it gets really big.
Applicable to a lot of things, but sometimes a little micro violence can end up becoming a much larger scenario. So it's good to be as cognizant as you can of the effects,
cool,
potential effects of your acts, your words, and your action. That's my personal journey presently. Thank you.
Nonviolent left?
I would rate myself in the upper right-hand corner of the nonviolent left. A little lower, but right about there. Right about there.
We're pointing here.
Right
okay, how? Because
I am a third generation militant.
Militant?
My father served in the Navy. My grandfather served in World War II, and I served in the Navy. Honorable all the way down. My Good Conduct Medal is a living being in Ohio who is in the same career field as me.
Your Good Conduct Medal is a living being?
Who lives in Ohio.
What does that mean? Your medal is a being?
When you get a medal in the military, they choke everybody up in ranks, and you kind of get some time to, make a wish, so to speak. And as that occurred, I was through the universal thing, connected with somebody that is in the same field as I. So, he unfortunately doesn't get the left too much, but at the same time, I do. As a shore patrol, I was the shore patrol that would give smokes to the people that had gotten in trouble for drinking and driving. And
what country are we in?
This is down in San Diego.
Oh, San Diego. Okay.
And so as I grew out of that into a consciousness that was more sustainable, creative, imaginative, I had to release those things that were deconstructive and not of progress. And in doing so, I became more and more left. My life goals and my focuses, my intentions became more and more left. And the right fear-mongering that goes on to maintain faded away. Even on the non-authoritative side, of that induction of fear, but on the authoritarian, where it's force, all of that stuff began to filter away. But it was with me for many years, so I'm upper left.
Right. Well, you wouldn't have to be a total pacifist to be in this group, right? I'm sure the just war theory, and it would be fine. Someone who believes that we should have fought the Germans in World War II. I think you're still more or less non-violent-ish. But
for the Gandhi Institute in 2006 for his first non-violent protest, 100-year anniversary of his first non-violent protest. Still have some religion to shed off, but still working to maintain a sense of holding my value judgments.
Cool. Good. Nonviolent left?
Thank you.
What's look at all of the other corners.
Well, you know, I'm gonna kind of, hold on, I'm gonna kind of facilitate this firmly. Let's not. Either
Oh,
you're
I was
here
going to
or you're not
relate
here.
them to that.
Oh, well, I guess I would really want to know, are you here with us and are you one of these people or not? Because if you're not,
Probably the one that is the most in that corner.
you're the most over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And in relationship, I can tell you why.
Uh-huh.
So violent-wise, I have come from a very victimized place. And so I've dug myself out of years and years of trauma resolution
Sweet.
and was born into a situation where they didn't want me, tried to kill me a couple of times, and I was molested very, very early. And so my life has been, let's see if we can get hold of, you know, what this is really about, because my family was not very lovely. Authoritarian, and this comes with the, you know, respect for Gandhi, respect for Jesus Christ. Seems to me that authoritarianism is about religion, and you know, I really don't like most religions. I've looked at a lot of them. Went to a school where, right in the beginning, high school, where we studied all the major religions, and my feeling about it now is, geez, these are all written by men. I don't really like to be told what to do and how to do it,
Okay.
how to dress and how to look and how to walk and whether to wear heels. And no, I'm not an authoritarian. I stay away from that.
Cool.
And what is this corner?
Which corner?
The right non-authoritarian?
Oh, down here? Well, this is, like I said before, this would be like a traditional old school Republican, like,
Freedom?
well, like my dad, you know, he wasn't really big for war, but he was kind of conservative in terms of politics. Like he was.
I think I'm going to come a little bit closer to the middle line then.
That's fine.
Yeah.
As long as you can be here for this meeting.
Because I am a little bit on the right side in that I don't like to get too deeply into anything that I think I might turn around and change my mind about.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's cool.
I might say somewhere like halfway down and a little bit close to the middle line.
Like here.
Nope, out a little bit more into the, right around there.
I think what's confusing is that ordinarily you have the writing on the side, like violent, non-violent, authoritarian, you know.
Right, it's
That's
not
what's
supposed to be in the
confusing,
middle.
is how it's written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As to what.
Cool. And we wouldn't really spend any time on this once the first meeting, because you know you'd sort of know, well, this is a meeting for these people. And we would spend some time maybe throwing people out of the meeting when they had objections that fell outside of here, because that's one of the big problems that we had at Occupy. Right here we are at Occupy. We were both mostly nonviolent, but then we had people came in who were like, their big thing was, let's throw stuff at the cops and let's start fires and break windows and stuff. In which those of us who were more nonviolent were like, that's chasing everybody away. We kind of want more people, and they were like, not about more people. They wanted more purity. You know, they wanted to have this sense of like, we're kicking ass. And I was like, what this movement is about numbers of people. And violent techniques is for a very small group of people who are willing to do that, who can handle themselves, you know, on a battlefield, which is young men usually. And we're going to need everybody, not just the young men. So I expect there's going to be a lot, once this thing starts to get going, we're going to have a lot of like semi-violent younger people come in and go, we need to do more violent stuff. And that'll be an interesting conversation. But I think that at least the groups that I'm working with are going to be more down here and less up there. Okay.
And might I just share, I know we're talking in terms of people and attributes, but I also think of a resonant field, and that with those intentions, the more people who are gathered with that resonant field, then what comes out of that is going to be different than what's coming out of a less pure field. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or a disrupted field, because it feels to me like a field too. So there's a combined effect
Right.
of we, like a transpersonal effect.
Right.
Exemplified.
And to use like less sort of new agey language, I would say just if there's kindness and love, that's going to create like a warm and inviting atmosphere for more people.
I do believe that emotions I have done some woo-woo experiments, and while we couldn't read minds, we could tell the feelings of somebody behind a screen. We could feel
Sure.
it. And so that's what my point is you can actually feel and identify a feeling of somebody who's focused on that feeling, even when they're not visible.
Right.
And when you walk into a room, you can feel anger, you can feel that. And so if you have enough people creating a different field, you're going to have a different effect.
Right.
That's been my experience mostly.
And my serious hope would be that this movement, the leaders of the Loving Left, or the Loving Left would include everybody from maybe a black bloc violent person who happens to also be a philosopher atheist who doesn't believe in anything but materialism, sitting in a room with someone who's really quite, woo-woo and spiritual and has crystals, and them still working together on the same issues that matter, like hunger and justice and peace and violence and all that. So let's just keep moving. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
But
All right.
we're all transmuting that. We all still have some junk in there. We also have some violence. We all still have.
Oh, yeah.
So that's important. That we're all crucibles for that transmutation.
Totally. Yeah. And we're not going to. It's behavior, not attitude. We're going to work with you. Okay. Nonviolent left. More or
We've
less.
had this conversation. I believe something like a boycott is violent, but assuming that boycotting something, starving out a company is within that box on the bottom left, then yes, I'm nonviolent.
Well, that's a fairly good question because there is some argument about that, and I would say yes. For traditionally, the nonviolent left does not consider boycotts to be violent. I mean, you have a sort of a you're an outlier in terms of the way you define it.
Well,
The right thinks that boycotting.
Right, that's an argument from the right that you've swallowed, and I think you should spit it back out. But you're not the only one who swallowed it.
sure.
Yeah. It's not a violation to not consent to being violated.
Right.
And that's what a boycott, I think, is. So, by your choosing not to be violated, that's your right, and to make that known. So I get what you're saying too.
You're violating the corporation, who's not a person.
By not
but-
buying their stuff.
But the people who are supported by that company are then being potentially damaged. They have to go and find other jobs. and do other
Or
things.
they have to change their policies, then maybe it could be lucrative.
Right, but you're saying that if I don't buy a Cadillac, I'm doing violence against Cadillac.
Right, that's.
I'm saying if we as a group of people say that we are not going to buy Cadillacs and put Cadillac, whatever the parent company is, out of business,
Or until they make
that
a change.
is, in my opinion, an attack on all those people. We have taken away their livelihoods, their ability to support their family. They are now on the street and starving.
No.
That's a
No.
stretch, yeah.
That's a real stretch.
It's cause and effect. Anyway, we've decided that boycott is in this box, therefore I am in this box.
Yeah.
We don't have to
We don't
continue
need to.
going
I get
on that thread.
Okay.
Left versus right is slightly confusing to me. Like, I believe in sustainability, happiness, justice. Left, I believe that we should be mutually supportive of each other, but I don't believe that everyone should just get a handout. Like, I believe everyone needs to be working towards the cause. And so, like,
Right.
I believe in the mission. I think I believe in the means as we've defined it. So
Right.
I'm on board.
Right.
But
So-
I don't necessarily believe in all of the labels of stuff.
Right. A lot of people don't. So this is a means, nonviolence, and these are missions, just to be really clear. I hope people can see this. Oh, okay, there's one more thing that you have to kind of believe in to sort of be here, because this is what the conversation is all about. And that is, it's hard to be the cameraman. No. It's
Kidding.
It's using the mass movement. In other words, cooperating. Because this, to me, this is where the power is. Because there's millions of us. And so, I mean, a lot of people are going to want to come to a meeting like this, and what they're going to want to do is talk about their pet project, right? And they're going to want everyone to like do whatever it is they're into, like animal rights or peace and justice. And what this is about, and this is why it's not ever going to be easy to get this thing off the ground, because everybody is about what they're about. Most people are not about what other people are about. They're about what they're about. And how do you change, what you have to do, in my opinion, is basically horse trade. It's like, I'm a white guy who used to live in Africa, so I care about hunger, because I saw a lot of people dying of starvation. You're a black activist who lives in poverty, and what you care about is police violence. So I'm not going to get passionate about your thing, and you're not going to get passionate about my thing. But I am willing to do a horse trade with you. I'm willing to deliver my love army to your love war, if you're willing to deliver your love army to my love war. So let's come up with a series of barns that we're going to build together, and let's bring each other's masses, you know, your army, my army, their army, her army, together, and let's go fight these battles. That's really militaristic language, but I want to really use love as the weapon, which I guess is one more thing. Yeah, so it's another part of the means is mass movement. Another part of the means is, just to put it really bluntly, love, or if you don't like that word, kindness or nonviolence.
Kindness, compassion.
Compassion is a great word. Yeah.
I like conversion too, because compassion is like, I know you're suffering, I feel you're suffering. Conversion is, I feel your joy.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, even though it's using a polyamorous context, usually, I like the thing, I feel your joy. It's not just your suffering. It's
Right.
like, I feel your joy.
Don't worry, I'll totally edit the polyamory thing out. So speak freely.
A mass movement does take power.
It is power.
It is power, and development of power is so I'm with you that it is power, absolutely. So how do you make power more powerful?
More people.
More people.
Yeah.
Okay. Mass movement, power, kindness. Going out, reaching out. Require, what does reaching out require?
Well, that's kind of what we have to do tonight. I mean, this is what all these meetings are about. Because in my opinion, until we have a quorum, and a quorum, I don't know what a quorum, you know, there's different definitions of what a quorum is, we can decide, but it's like, basically, if there's 1,000 people out there that we're supposed to be representing, we better be representing at least 25% of them, or we shouldn't be speaking for them, right? There has to be a quorum. If we're 100 people, we shouldn't have a meeting with 10 of us. We can have a meeting with 20 of us or 30 of us, that's a quorum. So basically, we're always trying to make sure that we're not going off the rails and not representing the people that we're supposed to be spokespeople for, right? So when you're talking about consensus, which is another, I guess, there's a lot of means. Consent is another big piece of this. You have to use quorum. I can never spell quorum.
Okay.
Quarum. You've got to have quorum. So we're not going to be like deciding what the left is going to do in Seattle tomorrow. We're going to be deciding how we can get enough people in here to get enough people from the left so we can decide what we can do tomorrow, or
Now,
we can do next week.
When you say get enough people in here, I mean, each of us between now and the next meeting can go out and talk to a bunch of people and discuss what we discussed here and get ideas from them and bring that back here. But like, we're not going to be able to get critical mass in this room. The room's just not big enough, right?
Because it's all about representation.
Right.
So I mean, this is a good number. I love 5 people. If we were formally representing 4,000 people or 40,000 people or 4 million people, then there would be TV cameras here. I mean, people would be very curious because we would actually have some serious power. So yeah, it's all about having spokespeople. Now You guys know what a spokes council is, right? You read the thing. And that's kind of what this is going to be. And I really don't care if there's 5 people or 50 people in this room. What I care about is that there's a huge number of people being represented in this room. And so a spokes council is that comes from the organizing of the, I guess the 80s, where you'd have all the masses on the outside. I'm sorry. All the masses, like this is everybody, right? This is the whole like anti-war movement. But there's no way, we discovered this in Occupy. If you try to get all these people and have a big meeting together downtown, where was that place?
Westlake.
In Westlake, and you have like, everyone's repeating what everybody says, and like, mic check, I believe, you know, and you've got a whole bunch of different people who aren't on the same page. It's bullshit. You can't ever get anything decided, and basically the people with the loudest mouths, usually the young white guys, talk the most. And they basically took over, and then everybody left. Because they didn't represent the 4,000 people that were there on Sunday morning. They just represented the 40 people who were young, white, black bloc activists who wanted to do things their own way. And they didn't give a shit about what the masses wanted to do. So if this is hundreds of, or scores of groups, okay, in Seattle, the gays and the women and the Hispanics and everybody, and each one of them is sending 1 or 2 spokespeople, and they all come together in a room, and they sit in a circle with just no more than 8 people. Then you think, oh no, those good people are going to be in charge, but that's not what it's about. They're only going to come up with proposals, and then they're going to send those proposals out again. Like, we have this idea, what do you think? And then these groups will meet, and these groups already exist, right? We're just asking them to send people. And then they respond, and they come back in from their spokespeople, and then this conversation happens again. And if these meetings are happening every night, we can make a really serious decision about what we're going to do as activists in this city in a few days. And it doesn't have to all be done in person. A lot of it can be done online. We're having an app built right now, so a lot of the notes and the proposals can be formally sent out to the right people through the app. But you still got to meet in person because 80% of communication is nonverbal. Yeah.
As activists, are you saying that we're all activists?
Or progressives, or liberals, or even moderates. I just use that word as shorthand, but yeah, activist is sort of loaded, isn't it?
Yeah.
It sort of means
Just people who want to do stuff, have a sense of civic
right.
duty, or
People who want sustainability, happiness, and justice.
want to co-create.
Want to create it together using critical mass and using mass movement. I say critical mass. Critical mass is super important because critical mass means we're not going to do it when we have a lot of people. We're going to do it when we have the right amount of people.
So every action would have its own number of critical
Yeah.
mass necessary to actually achieve that action.
Right, and it's silly to do anything differently, but we do it all the time. I feel like having a symbolic protest. And so it makes me feel better, so I have a symbolic protest. And guess what happens? All my energy is taken up with the symbolic protest, which doesn't win. Because we haven't thought through, what's it gonna take to win this thing? Because I don't give a shit about that, I'm old. I'm tired of having symbolic protest. I've been to jail like 10 times. Symbolic, made me feel great, but we didn't stop the war. Right? I wanna stop the war. Not putz around doing things that look good and make me feel good. I want to do stuff that finishes, that we